What is up, guys? It is the Bluebloods here, and man, we got another Jackson State commitment that we have to talk about, man. And this one was a big one. I think only a few other channels really kind of picked up on how serious this transfer really was, and that is Mark Pope, former Miami wide receiver. This kid, according to Rivals, was a 5-star, was a high 4-star for 247 Sports, was a top 100 player in the composite rankings and a top 43 player in the 247 rankings alone, and was a top 10 wide receiver recruit in the class of 2018 out of Florida, man, out of Miami Southridge High School. And I know yesterday it was just crazy with the Travis Hunter commitment, the Celebration Bowl coming up. A bunch of these schools in the SWAC did big things. So I'm just going to go ahead and give y'all a heads up. I'm going to do a breakdown of every SWAC recruiting class. On this channel over the next, couple of days. It's going to take a little bit of time to put together, cover all the recruits they've gotten so far. And of course, the commitments will stretch until Friday because early signing day is a 3-day period. But I am going to try to drop an individualized video for every single SWAC recruiting class. So Alabama A&M fans, FAMU fans, Southern fans, Grambling fans can all kind of see what's going on with their recruiting class throughout early signing period. But this one was a big one because this kid committed to Miami. It was really down to them in Alabama, and he committed to them. He committed to the hometown Miami. This kid was a U.S. Army All-American selection. Went to the opening finals when he was a senior in high school. Coming out of high school, man, this kid was one of the top wide receivers in the state of Florida, one of the top athletes, and look at what he did at Miami. This kid, as a freshman, saw action in 2 games, but ultimately, wasn't a huge part of the offense, but was a mainstay starter throughout 2020 and 2019, in which he had over 680 total yards, 4 touchdowns, had a handful of carries, but it averaged over 13 yards per catch. And also on top of that, was one of the top punt returners and kick returners for Miami. So this kid can do it all, and he's a legit athlete. And the biggest thing that it's going to do is help replace some of the wide receiving losses that Jackson State is going to have. Is Warren Newman's gone, Josh Lanier's probably out there, Corbin will also be gone, from what I can tell. So they needed a bit more wide receiving depth. They have Malachi Wadman, and he's going to be the main guy. Let's just be honest. They have Trevante Rucker. On top of that, they have Quadarius Davis coming back, in which he wasn't eligible this year, but he should be a mainstay in the starting lineup. And on top of that, there are reports out of Deion's camp or in Jackson State's camp that they're going to allow Travis Hunter to play both ways, which is going to be absolutely scary because you're going to have so much talent at that wide receiver spot. And now you add a guy with major experience like a Mark Pope who has multiple years of playing at the ACC level, who's going to come in immediately and offer you an experienced option to add into what you already have. And we know with this Jackson State offense, they like to spread you out. They need multiple guys out there that Shador can trust to go make a play. And Mark Pope is one of those guys, and he can fit down when you watch the film. He can fit in the slot position. He can be the X. He can be the Z. I mean, he can play so many different positions. With Malachi being as big as he is, and with Rucker being as big as he is, I think those two guys are mostly going to stay on the outside, and Pope's probably going to slide somewhere in between. But on top of that, you're looking at all the different special teams options now too, with Hunter, with I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Bolden was the returner this year, but now you have Pope added into the mix as well. You're going to have so many options just in terms of special teams. I think they should ultimately give it to Hunter because that kid is just lightning in a bottle, but Pope will also add depth there. And on top of that, I believe he has 2 more years of eligibility, which means he can be in this system for multiple years. And I think the evolution we saw of the Jackson State offense from the Alabama A&M game on is going to fit right into what Pope does I guess well. And the number one thing I would say his biggest strength as a prospect, his ability to make plays in the open field. If you can get him the ball and he has some space to move, he can make people miss and he can turn a short gain into an explosive gain. And on top of that, he really thrives at those intermediate levels. You're going to have Wadman be your deep threat. Rucker's going to be a monster in one-on-one coverage. Quadarius Davis can kind of do it all, but he'll probably be more of the underneath guy. in next year's offense. But then Pope is going to be that guy you can really trust in the intermediate game, in which Shador really, really excels. So I would imagine Mark Pope finds a way to earn some playing time in this Jackson State offense next year. Now, you're looking at it. I mean, who's going to have the wide receiving core to compete with this? You know, Alabama A&M losing D. Anderson, and they also lost, I believe, Juice to the transfer portal. So they're losing some major pieces at the wide receiving spot. FAMU's going to return a solid wide receiving core, but you're looking outside of those two teams. Does anyone even have an argument to really compete with Jackson State's wide receiving core with Quay Davis, with Trevante Rucker, with Malachi Wadman, now Travis Hunter and Mark Pope? I think right now Jackson State has a damn near unstoppable wide receiving core in the SWAC. It's going to be, in my opinion, the best in the SWAC. But comment below, do you think Jackson State has the best wide receiving core in the SWAC? But right now, I want to see how some of these other recruiting classes pan out. But right now, I don't think you could say Jackson State does not have the best wide receiving core in the SWAC going into next year, especially with Travis Hunter playing both ways. Now, looking at this just Jackson State recruiting class, man, I just want to say the 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 impact. I will say this: the impact that Jackson State had yesterday on the entire, you know, on the entire recruiting landscape is absolutely impressive, man. I mean, on top of that, they got a transfer, Michael Pleas from Southern Miss. Earlier this year, they got Cam Buckley from Indiana, Jordan Williams from Indiana. Both of those guys, wide receivers, who both should also find time in this receiving core. And on top of that, they landed Jason Mercier from FIU last night, another player. If I know there's been a lot of reports that he may come back, he may not. I heard this morning he got a Senior Bowl invite, so we're going to kind of wait and see approach on that one. But I did get from one person that is close to Jackson State that he is probably going to declare for the NFL draft as of right now. But Jason Mercier will probably bring in a lot of depth, and then Evan Henry, the offensive guard from ULM, he was the highest graded player on ULM's offensive line for like 90% of their games when he started. This kid is legit as well. And I think he's going to bring some much needed stability and depth on the inside of that offensive line, which is where I've been extremely critical of the offensive line at 6'3, 315 out of DeSoto, Texas. This kid's going to be legit. And so for me, I think Evan Henry might be the most impactful transfer that Jackson State got this recruiting cycle. So I mean, that's just a little bit of what Jackson State's done, man. They are absolutely dominating the transfer portal right now, and they are dominating in a big way. And on top of that, landing the number one prospect in the country, which I'm going to link that episode at the end of this video. So make sure to check that one out if you didn't check out our Travis Hunter episode breaking that down. But grading Mark Pope's transfer to Jackson State, I'm gonna give it a he's so talented. I'm gonna give it an A minus because I think he fits the system so well. But right now, I really want to see how he fits into a very, very crowded wide receiving room. You already got the two kids from Indiana. Still, Malachi's got a spot locked up. Rucker and Quay Davis probably have one or two spots locked up, and then these other guys are going to be fighting to see the field. I want to see if he can start, but just in terms of pure potential and fit into the offense, I think Mark Pope going to Jack State is a solid A minus, maybe a B plus if he doesn't see the field as much. But ultimately, what it does, even if he doesn't start for Jackson State, it gives you depth in case somebody gets banged up or goes down with a significant injury. I think ultimately it's a great land for Deion Sanders and Jackson State. And that's the position they have been. I mean, let's give them a round of applause for how well they've recruited wide receivers. They have been dominant, landing receiver after receiver after receiver over these past two classes. And so you got to give Jackson State and TC Taylor and that whole offensive staff a lot of credit for bringing in the type of talent they have. And man, next year the SWAC. I know we aren't even done with this year. I mean, Saturday's the Celebration Bowl, but looking ahead to next year, it is going to be an absolute movie to watch, man. And I can't wait to see it. But guys, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and comment below your thoughts on Mark Pope headed to Jackson State. And also comment below your overall thoughts on the recruiting class thus far. Who are you most excited to see suit up for Jackson State? And also Check out our Travis Hunter video. Check out our Celebration Bowl preview, and also stay tuned later today, tomorrow, this weekend, and early next week for kind of a recruiting class update for all these SWAC schools. We're gonna be going through them all, just kind of break down who they've landed so far and what some of their biggest needs might be moving forward. But guys, hope y'all are having a great Thursday, man. I'll see y'all in the next episode. But for right now, the Blue Bloods are out.